One thing that will make you disown your child.
I mean, I know I don't like Chunkz, but surely he's going to say something reasonable, you know, something like a horrific, horrendous crime, or, you know, maybe nothing at all. Maybe he is loyal to his children. He's not going to say anything controversial, is he?
Leaving the religion.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's big drip. You can't do that one.
Okay, I guess not. Ladies and gentlemen, stopping your viewers, one to a brand new YouTube video. In today's video, we're taking a look at the content creator Chunkz, who, over the past couple of months, has been controversial to say the least. He has ruffled a couple of feathers in the UK YouTube scene, and we have covered that on this channel previously. But in this episode of What's Chunkz Done, he recently went on a podcast and said something pretty controversial about disowning his son if he had one. You've more than likely seen this clip floating around online. It absolutely blew up before the user ended up privating their account and seemingly taking down this post. The original post read, "People like this shouldn't have children." It got over 20,000 likes and over 15 million views. But let's actually take a look at the podcast clip in question, taken from the original podcast instead of that Twitter clip, just to make sure that we're not cutting any context out of what Chunkz says here.
One thing that will make you disown your child.
Boy, if I could forgive a lot, you know, when it comes to my own youth.
Yeah.
Something ridiculous like murdering his own mother.
Man.
Something mental.
Yeah.
Leaving the religion.
Somehow don't think that murdering your own mother and leaving a religion is kind of on the same level. And how he's framed it there very much makes it sound like that's what he's doing, like putting them on the same level. And now, of course, I understand that Chunkz is an incredibly religious person. In this podcast, he spoke quite a bit about being a religious individual, and I respect that. I'm not somebody who is a religious individual, I am atheist, but I respect people who are, and I do think people should be tolerant of others with different faiths and different beliefs, because ultimately we are all entitled to different thoughts. Just like how we are entitled to different thoughts, different beliefs, different opinions, and different views, we are also entitled to simply disagree, and I just ultimately disagree with the idea of basically disowning your own son for leaving a certain religion.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's big drip. You can't do that one there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it'd have to
Like
be
if he said,
ridiculous.
if he wanted to leave, not be Muslim, you'd disown him.
Yeah, I would say, yo, that can't run for me.
Ultimately, if he disagrees with his child leaving his religion and maybe joining another religion or becoming an atheist or whatever it may be, that's one thing, because everyone is going to have their own thoughts and their own opinions, and if he disagrees with it, he disagrees with it. That's something that he's allowed to do. But disowning your own son for that just seems like a crazy prospect, and something that lots of people are pointing out. Lots of people have said that if they were in Chunkz' position and they were that religious and their son, you know, moved away from that religion and they didn't particularly agree or support that, they would still stand by their child regardless, even if they don't support that action.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So
Like, as in,
your
don't get
mother's
twisted.
child.
Don't get twisted. You can leave it, but you can also come back.
Mm-hmm.
You get it?
Yeah.
But I feel like leaving
While
the
you're
fold
out,
of Islam,
yeah.
I can't part with you, man.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Like I know I'll always have that unconditional love, where I see the youth, and if I see him in a pass, I'm always going to try and stop it. But I feel like having that want to love this person without being under the fold of Islam,
Yeah.
I can't part with that.
Look, maybe it's just because I'm not a religious person, but I find that a bit crazy. I think just saying it so casually and acting like you've said something that is completely and entirely normal is wild to me. I'd be interested to see what you, the viewer, thinks. If you are a religious person, if you do have faith, please feel free to comment down below and, you know, share your thoughts as somebody who is a religious individual. I'd be interested to see how that differs from my view and my perspective on this. I 100% get that you're not going to like and agree with every decision that your child has made, and you will probably disavow quite a few of their decisions and actions, and they're not actions or decisions that you would make personally yourself. But I feel like you would just stand by your own child, because at the end of the day, that is your child. I mean, especially in a context like this, and I'm just gonna say, I just don't know why Chunkz would even answer this question. There is no way anything good was possibly going to come from this. You must think that while saying this, that yeah, this is probably gonna get me in a ton of shit. It's just simply not worth it. And especially how damaged Chunkz' reputation is in the UK YouTube scene, I would have thought he would have tried to stay away from anything controversial, but apparently not.
Cool. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
That's a good answer.
I mean, look, I'm not expecting a ton of pushback, but saying that's a good answer, nodding your head and moving on to the next question's insane. Do you have anything actually to add to that? You asked the question, is there anything that you want to disagree with or a particular part that you agree with? Bar saying that's a good answer and nodding your head. To me, that just seems incredibly dismissive and you're not actually engaging in the conversation. Digging into this podcast a little bit further, like I said previously, Chunkz does speak an awful lot about religion in this podcast, but also family.
Well, what hits me is if it's family.
Yes.
You see, when it's family, that really gets me because I'm a family man, you know, I'm family oriented. So
again, this might be a case of where I'm not religious, so I don't particularly understand it, but I don't know how you can claim to be a family orientated man and then say that you would disown your son for leaving a certain religion.
are we talking like a relationship, like as in like marriage?
That's what I was going to say. I was literally going to say, you can pick what relationship it is. It could be your relationship with your brothers, the brotherhood. It could be a relationship
Loyalty.
with a lady. So you're going loyalty,
Trust, communication.
And
communication.
So here Chunkz is talking about relationships, and we apply what Chunkz has said here about relationships to a father-son relationship or a father-daughter relationship. I don't know if basically disowning your own child for moving from a religion or stopping being religious basically screams trust, loyalty, and communication. And an interesting clip about Chunkz speaking about his religion that I thought I'd play here because I do think it applies.
You're a very religious person. How religious would you say?
I wouldn't say I am, you know. That's the thing, because, you know, for example, I see a lot of Muslims, again, I'm not trying to highlight their bad things, but obviously they'll be drinking alcohol or whatever it is they do and they delve into, and then they'll be like, what do you want to drink? And I'll be like, oh, I'll take a lemonade or something. They'll be like, oh, you don't drink? I'm like, no. They're like, rah, you're such a good Muslim. That's like, that's the bare minimum. There's some things that I just kind of like won't compromise. So because I kind of have strong morals on that front, people will say I'm religious, but I just feel like I'm doing the bare minimum. Like now, if I feel like you've learnt the whole Quran and you know you can state each chapter and you know so much about the religion, that's when I'm thinking, okay, you're being religious.
Is that where you're trying to get to?
Of course, everyone tries to strive to be the best version of themselves, the best Muslim they possibly can be. But because of the fact that I try to do the bare minimum as a Muslim, they'll say I'm religious. I'm kind of like, don't put that pressure on me, because now you guys are going to look at me as a role model, quote unquote, and then I fumble because I do something wrong that's against the religion, and all of a sudden I'm this prick that shouldn't be representing Islam. I wasn't. I was representing myself.
I find it fascinating how he speaks about his religion there being a Muslim man and how it differs from how he phrases it and how he talks about it in this podcast in particular. And I do want to clarify, because there's lots of talk about this online, this isn't about Chunkz being a Muslim. If somebody from the Christian faith had said that, look, I would also disavow my child if, you know, they moved away from my religion, then I would also be saying the exact same complaints. And I think it's important to highlight that because there's lots of that type of talk going around on the internet about this topic at the moment. That applies to anybody who is religious and claims that, or anybody who is atheist and says that, look, if my child stops being atheist and becomes a religious person, I would disavow them. I would also feel the exact same about it, because everybody's entitled to their own views and their own beliefs, and I think disavowing somebody for that is just insane.
I don't know, I think I'll be like I'm a girl dad. Like I think I'll be spoiling my daughter a lot. Whereas my boy, I feel like I'll be a bit more harsh on him.
Yeah.
Because I feel like in Somali households, they're very nicer on the boys.
It's great that Chunkz would treat his daughter differently in that case, and, you know, he would strive to make a change there. But ultimately, I don't feel like just because you're being then easier on your daughter, you would then need to be a bit more harsher on your son. I feel like you would just be as harsh and as tame as you need to be in a certain situation with your child.
Yeah, cleaning, the cooking, the boys are kind of like the kings of the household, and I hate that. I hate that dynamic, so I'm going to change it for my household. My girls are my queens. You can do what you want, whereas the boys slap it into shape.
And he says it so casually, I just think that's just a very bad outlook on parenting. Like I said towards the beginning of the video, this has not gone down well on the internet whatsoever. Lots of people have lots of very strong opinions on this because, you know, of course they do, because look at the topic at hand. We're just gonna brush past disowning your own child over religion? What the fuck, man? Publicly cutting off a child, but not his best friend. Chunkz, I will disown my child. Chip, that's a great answer. Madness. Living in a secular country like England but saying you'd cut off your kid for their religion just doesn't make sense to me. If he has such strong views, he should probably just move to a Muslim country. Seeing Chunkz saying he have unconditional love for his kid but in the exact same breath say he'd disown them if they leave Islam, you people are under spell. Something I kind of didn't point out in his initial statement, it just kind of didn't make a lot of sense. A lot of it contradicted it. I felt like maybe he worded himself poorly and he meant to say something else, because I do feel like a lot of his statement contradicted each other, so maybe genuinely, if we're being good faith here, he just fucked up his wording. That is like a genuine catastrophic level of like cope and good faith there. I would love to know what you, the viewer, has to say about this. Please feel free to comment down below, especially if you are a religious person. I would love to hear your perspective, and if you think what Chunkz said is a huge overreaction and what you would do in that situation. Please feel free to share that down below, and much done then, most to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future Slot Meal content. But I've been your host Samuel, you've been watching Slot Meal, and I will catch you in the next video. Goodbye.